خزيان مغبة أنا إيفا رومينا جوناس أدي كلي وقم أوفيسة كونغرسوومن أنا إيشو قد إلى خاطرات جانن مشيتة ألبو جمو إتشيطلا فيتلقيو كونغرس بالخانة أدي أزغ تبقخ بكونغرسوومن أنا إيشو. Congresswoman Anna Eshoo, thank you very much for meeting with us.
Thank you for inviting me to.
Welcome to ANB.
Thank you.
Since we're short on time, I know you have another engagement, I would like to go directly to the most important question that all the Assyrians are rallying, chanting, and it's all over the Facebook. Everyone's asking, will we have a safe haven in Iraq? Is there hope? Can we have a province of our own that we can call our own, live there safely, secure it, and be responsible for our own destiny?
Well, first, I want to thank you for this interview and for the most important issue related to our people with what is happening in Iraq. I think before one even thinks of a safe haven is humanitarian aid to our people, because as we know, there are tens of thousands that have had to flee, and most recently from Mosul, they have had to flee and to go north into Kurdistan, and it really is a dire situation. So what I have worked on, and it's August now, and Congress is in recess. But before we recessed, just coming up to August, I was able to pass on a bipartisan basis a House resolution expressing the support of the full United States House of Representatives in support of humanitarian aid for the persecuted Christians in Iraq. I think that that's very, very important. We did a bipartisan letter at the same time to the President stating that this is actually genocide that is taking place. Now, no president wants genocide next to their name.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter whether it's a Republican president or a Democratic president. And I thought that we had to label it for exactly what it is, because what was taking place. For the first time in over, I think, 1,600 years, Mass was not celebrated in Mosul. And so women, men, children, many were murdered and slaughtered right there, because the demand of the ISIS is that they convert. Now, these are barbarians, and this is a repeat of history. And I have always thought that Western thinking does not really comprehend what the Middle East contains. I've said to so many of my colleagues, do you think that Jesus was born in Trenton, New Jersey? These are the original Christians. The original Christians of the world. And of course, a great American value is religious freedom, religious independence. And so this is a value of the American people, and why we have a responsibility. In my view, the United States really made, I think, one of the biggest, if not the largest, foreign policy blunders by invading Iraq. Because from that time forward, our people have not been safe, not been secure. It has never been a priority of the Iraqi government. And when I traveled to Iraq and met with al-Maliki, I raised this issue with him. They need security. This is even going back to when they were at Mut Maryam and slaughtered at Mass. And he insisted that the churches were being secured and all of that. And I knew that he was essentially tap dancing. So in terms of the future for our people, there was legislation that was being considered in their parliament for along the Nineveh plain that Assyrians, Christians would have a safe place. I think with what is happening now with al-Maliki stepping down, a new prime minister, we have to see how effective this Iraqi government is actually going to be. If you're going to use the yardstick of how effective it is relative to even its own army, I don't think that is very hopeful right now. I mean, they threw their arms down and ran.
Right.
And there's an irony that our people are fleeing to the north where the Kurds are. We have a tough history relative to the Kurds. But if that's where they are safe for now and protected, then the humanitarian aid must reach them. And I've had really a great deal of difficulty after meeting with the State Department over and over again to measure whether that humanitarian aid that we are providing or say that we're providing is actually reaching our people. There were a lot of press reports about the Yazidis and the help that they needed, but the word Christian is not used often enough. And I still think that we are an unknown and underappreciated community of people. And but of course, here in the United States, there are many that are working to help those that have been displaced and need the basics.
Yes.
I had a constant parade of visitors at my office in Washington, patriarchs, bishops, priests, pleading.
Yes.
And pleading for the most basic things, beginning with water. And I couldn't help but think of all of the stories that my grandmothers told about how they fled, what they saw, what they experienced, the members of the family that didn't make it, that were slaughtered along the way, and why they fled and why they came to the United States. So history is repeating itself.
Absolutely. I know I spoke to Erbil 2 days ago, to a friend of mine who works for the UN, and he's Iraqi Assyrian. And he was telling me most Assyrians, they won't sign up with UN as far as becoming, I guess you have to register in order to receive benefits. And you have to also be willing to live in one of the tents. Well, Assyrians are now willing to live in the tent, and they are actually sleeping in the churchyards. And therefore they are not getting the water or the food that UN is going to distribute to them. So that's at least what I'm told. And they're saying that therefore the church itself is supposed to provide for them rather than UN. And,
well, our people trust the church.
Yes.
Our people trust the church. We're so faith-filled.
Yes.
Our faith shapes everything, our view of everything, how we raise our children, how we live our lives. It is one of the major anchors of our lives. But I think that when there are dire needs, that people will gravitate to those that are distributing what they need. And the UN and its refugee program, and that represents a combination of dollars, not only from the United States but from other countries, has been moving huge shipments of necessities to people in need. But there are also others. There are Assyrians there from the Middle East that have gone. I had communication with someone in Chicago yesterday whose son-in-law is there. They emailed 22 pictures of how they were breaking things down into smaller packages for our people and helping them. But from the pictures you could see, some were in tents, some were in vacated buildings. Other pictures were just outdoor pictures where they were distributing the necessities that people need. But the pictures are so heartbreaking. I mean, the pictures of the children, they look just like my children.
They are.
Yeah.
Well, they were saying that they don't have enough people, they're not staffed well enough to be able to distribute food to so many thousands, hundreds of thousands of people.
It's a huge challenge.
And he was saying in his group there's only 30 of them working 24 hours a day, and they're not able to reach out to everyone. So I guess staffing it would be having more volunteers.
Well, I think that what I urge the State Department to reach out to are the trusted, what they call NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, the non-profits. The Assyrian Aid Society is on the approved list of the State Department as a non-profit. Catholic Charities, Catholic Aid is trusted and has distributed aid in different parts of the world, and our people would trust them. I think the State Department is a little rigid, and I chided them for that. I said, look, this is an emergency. People are fleeing because a genocide is taking place. And these are tens of thousands of human beings with children. So I think that you have to broaden, this is what I said to them, I think you have to broaden your lens and use the trusted organizations, both from the State Department side and the people that are that have fled.
Now, is there any plans for, I know for the United States to have an army there, or maybe have 5,000 soldiers there to protect the minorities, or to protect?
There is not an appetite in the United States or in the Congress of the United States, both in terms of the people across the country and the Congress itself, on a bipartisan basis. There is no appetite for American boots on the ground. We have paid an enormous price, as I said previously, both in terms of our treasure. We have spilled more blood there, lost the treasures of our country, and a protracted war that I have to say I'm very glad that I voted against it. I never saw any intelligence to support what the administration said at that time. But having said that, I do support a coalition of effort. Now, there are countries in that region that have a great deal at stake. The Saudis have a great deal at stake. Jordan has a great deal at stake. So the countries, that neighborhood, and they buy military equipment from us, and they do have armies, and I think that they have a responsibility as well to be part of the coalition. Now, the administration has, as we all know, has not only committed to to the humanitarian aid relative to the genocide, but also air power. But I believe that it should be more than the United States. But do I think that the Congress will commit to ground troops, or that the administration will come to the Congress and request that? I don't believe so.
Well, the way I see it is the United States went into Iraq, basically destroyed the country, and then now we are leaving the Christians and minorities alone, and we're saying, well, sorry about that, that was a mistake, and now you're on your own, go take care of yourself. So I feel like you're the one that created this mess for me, and then now you're leaving me with these horrible, horrible people.
Well, they're barbarians.
Barbarians that are going to come and chop me in half and rape my kids, and I would assume that the United States should take some responsibility, which and it does, but then to a greater extent, and also maybe involve other European countries, maybe involve France, England, Australia, and all these other countries.
There
that were
are
involved
other countries that are contributing to the humanitarian aid. Allies of the United States. And I agree with your depiction of what the United States did. But when you ask me a direct question, do I think that American armed forces will be on the ground, that the president will dispatch them? I don't believe that. I don't think there's the support. I'm being very honest, pragmatic in telling you what the mood of the country is, and what the status, I think, of how far the Congress will go. But having said that, I don't believe that that we should abandon the people that have been forced to flee. And there is no question that since we invaded, that our people have been pushed around. They've been threatened. There have been bishops that have been kidnapped, convents set on fire, lives lost, people slaughtered at mass. This didn't just begin now. And that's what I reminded the president of, other members of Congress, so that they would understand it and they would know. And this is on a bipartisan basis. This can't be just Democrats or just Republicans. Yes. It's bipartisan. And that's why I think that we have a responsibility in terms of aid to the Christians. They're targeted because they are Christians.
Absolutely.
And they are such a minority. The Assyrians do not have, the Christians don't have an army.
We don't have an army, we don't have any ammunition, we can't defend ourselves, we're civilians.
Right. And that's why they have been picked on. This is a thread that has continued on from the time of my grandparents and before, and it's being repeated. But I don't believe that in the absence of American boots on the ground, that the policy should be abandonment. That's wrong. Do I think that we should go back into war there? Absolutely not. Do I think that we have a responsibility to bring the assistance that is needed to our people? Absolutely. And I also think that we should revisit visas. So that those that can have family in the United States or elsewhere, that they can leave the country. But it's so sad because this is where their roots are. Yes. These are where their home is, where their community is, and of course that land represents our history as well. But if there is essentially no Iraqi government, no Iraqi government, no matter how many other governments help with the aid and whatever, you know, and we can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Yes. Now, I hope that the new leader reaches out and forms a coalition between the two tribes. And al-Maliki did not do that. And you see where the eruption came all over again, and ISIS. But the whole region really is at risk. Yes. The whole region is. Syria, Jordan, Iraq. Of course, the Iranian government has their hand in a great deal of this. And but the central point is the fleeing, the suffering of our people, and what they need immediately. And then the planning going forward in terms of a safe haven, God willing. But a lot of that really depends on an Iraqi government and what they are willing to do.
So as far as right now, as far as Assyrians, I know we're kind of divided, whether some people want to leave, some people want to stay. And even here within the United States, all Assyrians are divided as far as opinion.
Well, there's not anything new about our people being divided about things. We have great debates about everything.
Yes. Yeah. So if I, like some of the friends I have spoken to in Iraq, the mother wants to leave, this daughter wants to leave, but the father, he says, this is my home, I'm not leaving. Therefore, the entire family is forced to stay in Iraq. And those people, of course, need some security. And currently, is there any possibilities that they can give us guns, ammunition to protect ourselves?
Well, at the end of the day, I don't think that that the war machine ends up resolving this.
Yeah.
Violence begets violence begets violence. Now, the American government, our government, is supplying and aiding the Kurds so that they have what they need in order to keep that area secure. Now, that's important for our people because they have fled there. And it is probably the safest place right now. And all information that I've received points in that direction. You know, what families decide to do, you know, I mean, I don't think a government can get into that, but I do think that our people should have options.
Yes.
So those that I think want to emigrate, that there should be the allowance of that through the State Department and through expedited visas. And I'm working with the State Department and my colleagues on that.
Just one last question. I know
Certainly.
we're running out of time. Why does Obama never mention Assyrians? I mean, he talks about Yazidis a lot, but we never hear him. He says Christians, never uses the word Assyrian, and he knows about us. Do you know why would he avoid the subject?
I think number one, that when you're a public official, that you don't. Let me say it another way. I think our people would draw not only comfort but pride in hearing the word Assyrian. So I agree with you. But there are many different Christian sects there. And so if you say one, then you're leaving out others. Others feel just as strongly as the Assyrians do about our name, our identity, our nationality, our language, our culture. And so Christian really covers many of the sects that are part of that region and have been for thousands of years. So I understand it. I wish he would speak about, use the word Christian more. That really is more my choice. I mean, that's what I use. And in the United States, I think that, again, going back to my opening sentence, Westerners view the Middle East through a Western lens. They don't have a deep and broad appreciation for what comprises the Middle East today. They have holy picture cards of Jesus at Galilee, and they know where he was born in Bethlehem. They know the word Jerusalem. They know the way of the cross. But it's in an ancient storytelling way, and not what is contemporary and who the people are moving forward, you see. And so there are only a handful of us in the Congress who represent fairly large Assyrian American communities, some in Michigan, some in Chicago, Los Angeles, San Diego, and you know, New York, Connecticut to almost a lesser extent.
And San Jose.
And well, San Jose is part of the Bay Area.
Yes.
Yes, San Jose is part of the Bay Area, and I represent part of it, but not all of it. So I think what is also really very important for our people, for Assyrian Americans, is that they be unified. They come to the Congress and have 9 different views or 11 different views about what they think needs to be done immediately. That's very difficult for Al-Mutlaqa in the Congress to shape something. So they will come to me and say, what do you think we should do? Because it's confusing. See? If the Italian Americans come to the Congress and they say, this is our top priority, and they're all unified, that's a very powerful message. But if we're not unified, it makes it that much more difficult to carry the top priority forward. And there is a difference between American policy relative to what is happening in Iraq and what belongs with the Iraqi government. I can't tell the Iraqi government what to do. I suggested to them in very strong terms when I was there and met with al-Maliki, But I could tell by his response, by the look on his face, that he did not like the issue that I had raised. And at that time, it was the security of the Assyrians and the legislation that had been introduced in their parliament. He did not want to hear anything about that. He didn't want to even acknowledge that there wasn't security, that security did not exist for them, and he certainly didn't want to discuss anything about Assyrians having a safe haven, lands that belong to them, and all that is a part of that. So I think that that's difficult, and I think it's especially difficult now with our people fleeing.
Yes.
And so I think right now, Rowena, what I'm concentrating on is that our people survive, and that they get what they need, because they are they fled with only the clothes on their back.
Yes.
They fled with only their clothes on their back. And their lives have been totally uprooted. They don't know within hours what is going to become of them. Their children are hungry. They have a vacant look in their eyes because they're so, they're in a state of shock, of trauma. And so I think Assyrian Americans need to band together to help bring the aid to them, number one. I'm working from inside of our government to do that, because we can talk about land and governments and all of that, but if people don't survive,
yes, there is no.
it doesn't have meaning. And of course, there isn't anything that takes the place of the power of prayer. The power of prayer, that God will guide us to do the right things for our people, and that their suffering will be alleviated, that they will be viewed with compassion, with love, with understanding, and with all of the dignity that every human being deserves. We need to work together to bring that to them. And I will continue to do that.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. It's been a trip. We have lots of pride, and we are happy that you are there on our side.
Thank you.
Thank you.